As gardeners, whether you are a seasoned gardener or a new gardener, sometimes we have the tendency to worry about Jane, Joe, and Mary's garden. I'm talking about your neighbor's garden. I'm talking about the garden down the road. I'm talking about people even on the internet that you know and you've seen, and they're doing wonders for their garden, whether they're growing in containers like I do or whether they're going in ground. Stop worrying about Jane, Joe, and Mary's garden. Jane, Joe, and Mary's garden has nothing to do with your garden. Their success or their failure has nothing to do with your garden. If you plant something and it does not grow, it's not necessarily your fault. You could have chosen the wrong variety for your zone. Most plants have a ton of varieties. There are so many varieties, and you would be amazed at how one variety will grow in the shade. Another variety will need full sun. One variety will grow in zone 5 and another variety will grow in zone 9. So sometimes we just choose the wrong variety. And you may say, well, John down the road or Joe up the street or Mary around the corner is planting and sowing and growing the exact same variety that I am. You pass by their property and you see these beautiful rows and you see their seedlings growing up and they're all straight, neat, and nice, and you're like, but what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong at all. That's called microclimate changes. And as an example, before I go into what microclimate is, as an example, have you ever been driving down the road, driving down the highway, and you literally drove out of a storm into a beautiful sunset? There was a dividing line. You literally drove out of the rain into a clear shot, or you drove from a nice sunny spot straight into a storm. And if you could have been on the outside of that car, standing on the side of the road, you literally could have stretched your arms wide and got wet on this side and you were dry on that side. That's microclimate. Have you ever seen it snow next door, around the corner, down the street, and it didn't snow? Have you been in a city where it's raining 2 miles down the road and you're like, it's sunny over here? That's microclimate. And the same thing affects our gardens and our plants. So what is this microclimate? It's simple. Microclimate is the climate in a very small designated area where the climate around it, surrounding it, is different. It can be as close as a 5-mile radius. And that 5-mile radius can give you the difference in a wonderful, high volume, high producing garden to nothing. There was a time that I planted things and my neighbors planted things, and they're like, we're in the store. And I really don't know this person, but they're in the same community that I'm in. And we're talking about what we're buying, the plants that we're buying. And they're talking about how massively this particular plant grows. And I'm like, but wait, mine hasn't grown. But wait, what am I doing wrong? And I learned that I'm not doing anything wrong. Sometimes we do a few things wrong, like maybe we'll plant it next to the wrong plant. Because sometimes if you plant something next to the wrong plant, it will hinder the production of the plant you're trying to grow. Okay? Maybe this person used a different fertilizer than I did. Maybe this person has what's called a green thumb and everything grows. Although I don't really believe in green thumbs. But it's not you. I don't want people to think that because something that I'm growing or someone else you know is growing, it's producing, and you're like, but wait, I can't, why is mine not growing? The first thing you need to do is check your zone and see if that particular plant can grow in your zone. And if it says no, don't just plug it in. Don't just put like parsley in, like my parsley right here. Don't just put parsley in for your zone, because there's flat leaf parsley, there's Italian parsley, and there's this parsley, and there's that parsley. Put the specific variety in that you want to grow and see what it says. And that's another thing. I try to pick varieties, and I think I said this on a recent video that I did about the pink lemonade blueberry and the raspberry bush, the golden raspberries. I picked a plant that's in the middle. I'm in zone 8A. So plants that I grow, even things like my parsleys, my peppers, my tomatoes, I look for varieties that will grow in zone 7 and grow 9. Sometimes I go as far as 6 and 10. If I find a variety that will grow, zone hardiness is 7 through 9 or 7 through 10, 6 through 10, then it should do very well in my zone because I'm in the middle of that. I don't like to just pick a variety that says it grows well in zone 8 or it grows well in zone 8A. That's too narrow of a window. I want a broader window so that I know that when I plant whatever my herb, plant, berry bush, or whatever I'm growing is, it has a better chance to succeed. And if you find out that you're not doing anything wrong, you have the right variety, and it is just a matter of microclimate, then do the research and find out when that particular variety should grow and give it that extra 2 weeks before or after. Make sure you're doing everything that you can do to ensure that your plant grows in the area that you are in. But don't compare your garden to Joe, John, and Mary's garden because they may be doing something you don't do. And guess what? That's another thing. Just because you're on the outside looking in at John, Jane, and Mary's garden, you don't know the trials and tribulations that they've gone through. You don't know the specific variety that they're growing because you're on the outside looking in. You don't know if they've tried this plant year after year after year, and this is the first year that it grew. You don't know what they intended when they planted that plant. You don't know what their expectations were when they planted that plant. So what looks like success to you may not be success to them. What looks like failure to you may not be failure to them. And that's the same in your garden. I am happy with a smaller crop in just about everything I grow because for right now, although I have a small family, I am growing for one. That's a whole nother story. Some of you all that have been with me for a long time know exactly what I mean when I say I'm growing for one. So I don't need rows and rows and crops of anything. The other day, someone asked me, what are you doing with all that parsley so early in the year when I harvested this parsley and took it inside? Well, I dehydrated because I cook so much on my cooking channel and just in general and in life, Cooking at Pam's Place, if you don't know that channel. But at any rate, back to the topic at hand, I dehydrated and I go through it heavily. When I want fresh parsley, I just come out here and clip some because it's readily available for me. So I don't want really, really huge crops of anything. There are some things that I may can coming up as it grows, and I may preserve it this way or that way, but I don't need to have a storage room full of things because right now I am growing for one. Okay, so you have to take that into consideration too, what your expectations are, what you're looking to do, and how successful your garden is for you without taking a look at John, Joe, and Mary's garden. I'm Pam, this is Zone 8A, and anywhere you can sit a pot, you can grow a plant.